Hey there, it's CJ Willie, and I'm cracking a pack. So what do I have today? No, I don't have some dude riding a horse from Throne of Eldraine. I've got my very first pack of Ikoria, Lair of the Behemoths. So I haven't been able to open any of these packs yet. Set just got released here in the US yesterday. So this is my first pack. I haven't been able to play with any of the cards. I haven't been able to crack any of the packs. So this is going to be brand new for me. It is going to be, like I said, from a very casual Magic the Gathering player point of view. Let me stress the word casual. I really only play Magic with about a 4 or 5 play group of friends. So most of what we do is we buy a booster box of this. In fact, we're waiting for our booster box so that we can crack it, I think not next week, but the week after next, and do a couple of rounds of draft. So this is my first exposure to the pack, to the cards. Let's see what I got. Hopefully something really, really cool. So let's go in just a little bit. All right. So cracking this pack. Hopefully I get something really cool, like some sort of like Pokemon card or something like that. All right, first card is Blade Banish. 4 mana, 3 and a white. It's an instant. Exile target creature with power 4 or greater. I think this is going to really help with some of the mutate cards out there. There are quite a few of the mutate cards that end up with a power 4 or greater. But some of the smaller mutate cards don't quite get there. So it's going to be interesting to see what this card hits, if anything at all. All right. Next card is Keep Safe. So 2 mana, 1 and a blue. It's an instant counter target spell that targets a permanent you control. Draw a card. So sort of like Turn Aside. Turn Aside is a single blue mana counter target spell that targets a permanent you control. This one is 2 mana, but you get a card out of it. So this will be very interesting to check out, see how it works in Ikoria. Okay. Next we have Forbidden Friendship. So 2 mana, 1 and a red. It's a sorcery. Create a 1/1 red dinosaur creature token with haste and a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. So you get 2/2 body out of 2 mana. You won't be able to mutate onto the human soldier, but you can mutate onto that 1/1 token. So it looks like it's perfect mutate fodder. Aside from that, it'll be interesting to see how a card like this does in a format that looks like it's got a lot of big beefy creatures. Next, for a single mana, is Whisper Squad. It's 1 black. It's a 1/1 human soldier. You can pay 1 and a black, search your library for a card named Whisper Squad, put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle your library. So I suppose you could get a little crazy in draft if no one's drafting Whisper Squad and you jam like 4 into your deck. You can continually go and get another Whisper Squad. Other than that, I don't know how much utility this will have in draft or sealed, but it could have some impact as you continue to be able to get creatures to put onto the battlefield. Next is Fully Grown. It's 3 mana, 2 and a green, instant. Target creature gets +3/+3 until end of turn. Put a trample counter on it. So way more expensive giant growth, but you're going to be able to put a trample counter onto whatever creature you buff. So this could do some work. It'll be interesting to see what goes on with this sort of an effect. Looks like it's a cycle. Each color has one. You do something. If I recall, I think that there's a white one for 3 mana. It gives +2/+2 to a creature, and then you can put a flying counter on it. So these will be interesting cards to see how they pan out in combat. I think that they'll be pretty cool because you can win a combat battle with this, and then hopefully you've put it on a big enough creature that trample makes a difference later on in the game. Okay, next is Drannith Healer. 2 mana, 1 and a white. You get a human cleric creature at 2/2. Whenever you cycle another card, you gain 1 life. Cycling 1 generic mana. So cycling, unlike the Amonkhet block, this in Ikoria looks like most of the cycling cards are generic mana costs. So this might be a little easier to play in different colored decks. Amonkhet, you're kind of limited to the color that you're playing because it usually had a colored mana cost in the cycling, where most of these appear to just be general cycling. So in, let's say, a red-white deck, this could pay off as you could just gain incremental life as you cycle your cards. All right, next card is Wreaking Claws. 2 mana, 1 and a red, instant. Target creature gains double strike until end of turn. Cycling for 2 generic. So, this is no Uncaged Fury, but you know, you could probably win a game out of nowhere if you attack in with a relatively large creature. They don't block. You give a double strike, end of the game. What's nice about it is if it doesn't tend to pan out for you, you can cycle it and pitch it to get a card that maybe you can use to put you over the top. Next is Hampering Snare, 2 mana, 1 and a blue, instant. Creatures your opponents control get -2, -0 till end of turn, cycling 2. So possibly another combat type trick to where you attack all in, makes like you're making a bad attack, they go to block, you dwarf all their creatures, and maybe you kill some of them off. Or it could be something on defense where you know, you're being attacked by some creatures, you don't want to lose yours, so you go block, dwarf the creatures, and maybe take out a couple of their creatures in combat. Cycling does help it as well. So 2 cards in a row, 2 converted mana cost, 2 generic to cycle, kind of gives it a few more options in the late game if you need something. Blood Curdle, this looks like the mythic rare common of the set, or the bomb common. 4 mana, 3 and a black, instant, destroy target creature, put a menace counter on a creature you control. I think this is probably the best common in the set. For 4 mana instant, you're going to destroy a creature, and you get to put a menace counter on one of your creatures. To me, that seems like a really good rate. In most sets, it's going to cost you 2 and 2 black, and maybe it's a sorcery non-instant. So I think this is really put into the set because creatures are the theme, creatures are the focus. This will help you get rid of that troublesome creature. Okay, next card we have is Thwart the Enemy. 3 mana, 2 and a green, instant, prevent all damage that would be dealt this turn by creatures your opponents control. So kind of similar to our Hampering Spear, this can be a card on defense to where you can make some blocks, prevent the combat damage that your opponent's creatures are going to control. Maybe you take out a couple of them, but you preserve your creatures for maybe the all-out attack the next turn. I don't know that I like this as much as I like Hampering Spear, because Hampering Spear has cycling, Thwart the Enemy does not. Okay, our first uncommon is Flourishing Fox, 1 planes. It's a 1/1 fox. Whenever you cycle another card, put a +1/+1 counter on Flourishing Fox. It itself has cycling, 1 generic. I think this is a really cool uncommon. I think it's probably going to be one of the best uncommons in the set. If you get it in the right deck, maybe a red-white cycling deck, maybe a blue-white cycling deck, this creature is going to get out of control fast, and it's going to draw out a kill spell, leaving your bigger later on creature or your win condition to pretty much be on the board without having to worry about getting killed, because Flourishing Fox took that destroy spell. I like Flourishing Fox. It appears to be a great card. Next uncommon is Aven Oddity. 4 mana, 3 and a blue. It's a bird at 2/4. It's flyer. It has cycling, 2 generic and a blue. When you cycle Aven Oddity, put a flying counter on target creature you control. So in a pinch, if you've got to cycle this for whatever reason to draw into a card, if you've got a creature on the battlefield, you can give that creature flying. It seems to be a little bit of an odd push and pull in that for a 4 mana 2/4, that's a relatively decent rate, but it's not a great rate. For 4 mana 2/4 flyer, it just isn't there. Now, if you need to cycle it and get yourself a card, and maybe you've got a 3/3 or a 4/4 already on the battlefield, giving it flying is awesome. So I can see where there's a little bit of odd tension. Do you play it as a creature? Do you cycle it? This one will be interesting to see. I like playing blue-white, especially blue-white flyers. So hopefully I'll be able to draft it and kind of get a feel of what the card does. Our final uncommon is Frill, Scare Mentor. For 3 mana, 2 and a red. You get a human warrior that's a 3/2. When Frill, Scare Mentor enters the battlefield, put a menace counter on target non-human creature you control. And then you can pay 2 and a red, tap it, and put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control with menace. So this is going to be an interesting cycle. Each color has one of these where it enters the battlefield, you put a counter on a non-human creature. Red has menace, I think green has trample, white has vigilance, blue has flying, and black has, I want to say death touch. I might be wrong on that. Maybe lifelink. But anyway, these are going to be interesting cards to play with, see what they do, especially at uncommon. Each of the colors has a number of cards with the theme of menace or whatever. So it's a card that I'm not entirely 100% sure on how it will do, but it's definitely a card that you could draft early and then build around. Okay, a rare or a mythic rare. Let's get something way cool. Oh, it's sticking behind our frill scale mentor. Okay, we have Zurna Dawn Waker. 3 mana, 1 generic, hybrid Boros, so red or white, and hybrid Boros, red or white. So for 3 mana, you get a legendary creature, Elemental Fox. It's a 3/3. It's one of the companion cards. So companion, each permanent card in your starting deck has an activated ability. Abilities you activate that aren't mana abilities cost 2 less to activate. This effect can't reduce the mana and the cost to less than 1 mana. You can pay 1 generic, tap it, target creature can't block this turn. So these companion cards are, going to be interesting to see how they play out, especially in a very casual format where you're able to brew a little bit, be creative. So I can see companion, being something to play. In our play group, when we bust our box here in a couple of weeks, it'll be interesting to see if one of us tries a companion out, how it truly, the way it's supposed to work. You have a companion, then you have your deck. This one seems a little bit tough to pull off because you only can have, permanents in your deck that have activated abilities. So this one might be a little bit troublesome to do, but standalone, I think is a really cool creature. A 3/3 for 3 that if you just happen to have some, permanents that have activated abilities, being able to have the cost reduced by 2 is basically a training ground. So training ground was blue, enchantment blue from I think Zendikar, Rise of the Eldrazi, Worldwake, one of those sets. And then having the ability to pay 1 generic mana, tap it, and choose a target creature that can't block this turn may be able to get in the incremental damage for you to win the game. So it's going to be interesting to see how these companion cards play out in a very casual format. I think that they'll be tried a little bit more, tested out, because it is more casual than trying to go and grind it out on FMF, Friday Night Magic or in a tournament. It's something that, I'm definitely going to try out, see how it works. And then I have a Tranquil Cove, which, tap lands helps you figure out your mana base, helps you splash colors, and then a Human Soldier, 1/1 Human Soldier. For me, the best card out of the pack, without really knowing these cards, I really think if I were doing a pack one, pick one, what I would probably do is Flourishing Fox. This seems to be a card that in the right deck, a red-white deck, a blue-white deck, maybe even a green-white deck, cycling is going to happen, and if this card isn't taken care of early on, it's going to grow incrementally and it's going to deal damage. So Flourishing Fox is a card that if I see it in the draft with my friends in the play group, I'm going to try to build around it because I think that red-white's aggressive enough that it can get out there pretty quickly and win you the game. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did like it, please subscribe and share. Take some time to tell me in the comment section what was your favorite or best card out of the pack. Until next time when I'm back to crack that next pack of Magic the Gathering.